Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching us every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. Today, we're going to be talking about sweet potatoes and how you can get those and prepare those for your garden. So you're going to watch me walk through in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about how to do that and how to get it started. And that's how we do it in Abbeville, South Carolina, in Raised Gardens. Thank you so much for watching. As you can find us on television, and that's channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending email. I treasure each one. And that's Donna at donnasedge.com. Let's go ahead and get started. This is going out into the garden right here. You can see how we get things started.
Okay, so we're back in the garden again, and I wanted to show you, I always like to put flowers inside the garden as well. It calls for the pollinators, and they absolutely love these beautiful sunflowers. And before I get started with the sweet potatoes, I wanted to show you what the golden potatoes look like. They're beginning to, leaves are kind of turning a different color. I've had to kind of thin them out just a little bit so we could get some airflow. And we're excited about the potatoes that we're going to be developing in probably just a few more weeks. So it looks like they're about to get tired. And once they start dying back, guess what? You got some awesome potatoes down under there. And that's great. Just another vision of the sunflowers. We like to keep those in the garden. And those are great pollinators. Again, my bees are all over them. Another neat thing about these is you're going to get seed. You'll never be without seed. Once these things seed over, you're going to be able to plant beautiful sunflowers over and over again out in your garden. So you can see right here we've got all of these absolute awesome tomato plants that are going on right now, and they're blooming, so we're going to be getting some tomato sandwiches coming up pretty soon. But I wanted to show you something else that came from seed, and this is my marigolds. I love marigolds, and let me tell you about marigolds. A lot of bugs are resistant to these things. They do not like the fragrance of marigold, but I love them out in my garden. This is a lettuce variety. It's called the Mini Coat Colors of Joseph. Joseph's Mini Coat of Many Colors. And then take a little quick look down there at all of those tomato plants. We're all excited about those. We thought, you know, a lot of folks said, Donna, you're going to lose those. Well, we didn't lose them. As a matter of fact, we got more than we know what to do with. And then again, you saw the zinnias right here, along with all the lettuces coming in. I'm going to walk you back around, see more of the beautiful, beautiful sunflowers growing. But sunflowers, if you love flowers, it's beneficial to your garden. And of course, you can see all of the plants that are here. Oh, that's a tomato. Now, this is the aroma, but anyway, that would be a tomato sandwich just waiting to happen. This is just a little freak seed I threw out here. It's a marigold, and it's coming up. And again, tomatoes, 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 tomatoes. What am I going to do with all these? Well, you know, I'm going to find a way. We're going to dry a lot of them. And we're going to can them. We're going to have some tomato sauce. We're going to do spaghetti sauce. And we're going to do salsa with a bunch of these too. Now, this is another variety right here of a pepper. It's jalapeno, but it's not a hot jalapeno. It's called the cold jalapeno. And so I know Phil, he loves hot foods, but the problem is it bites him right back. So I told him, I said, let's try this variety and just see what happens. We're going to let one go to seed, and then we'll plant a lot more next year. So take a look at those little tomatoes coming up from seed. Okay, let's go ahead and take another little walk back here. I just threw a whole bunch of marigold seeds, and you can see what they're doing. They're coming up. We're going to plant them all out in the garden. Here the peanuts are coming up. I think I counted about 40 of these things coming up. And there's two different varieties of peanuts, so I'm excited to see how each one of these varieties turns out. Again, there's a beautiful flower that's in the making. It's going to come up pretty soon. And another absolutely stunning beautiful, beautiful sunflower. Okay, so I've planted potato slips down in here. We did this, Phil and I did this about 2 days ago, right before that crazy rain started hitting. But now I've got another one, and see, it's got a root on it. You can see that. And another thing I noticed about this little baby, he's ready to be put in the ground. Look at there. So that's coming out. And every one of these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there are 9 different plants out here, but let's go on ahead. I think we've got room for another one. So let's go on ahead and start digging. I think that looks just as good as anything right there. Okay, dig it just enough. And then we're going to put this potato plant, I'm even going to leave the little stick on it right there. And we're just going to place him in here. Now remember, sweet potatoes, anything with a root on it, they're going to grow a lot better if you'll give them a little bit of depth. Not just all the way down in the ground, but just give them a little bit of depth and be very gentle when you're putting that into the ground. See, there we go. There's his slip. That's going to be coming up before you know it, and it'll be coming up above the ground. All right, let's go ahead and cover him. Let's be gentle with him. And there we go. All right, that's going to be another sweet potato in the making. And all we did, we just got him, remember, saw the previous video, we just got him and we just threw him into that water right there. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about watching this garden grow and all the different varieties of things that have come out. Can't wait to see what those little small pumpkins are going to be like. I just threw out a bunch of seeds. I didn't think they would all come up because they're older seeds, but they're small pumpkins. They're going to be a little bit bigger than your fist. Well, probably about twice as big as your fist. So I'm really excited about that coming up. But I want to take you out here. Let's take another little walk. Yep, hi tomatoes. Can't wait for a tomato sandwich. Talk to your plants. They love it. They're lonely out here by themselves. Okay, so you can see all the blooms. And these are spaghetti squashes. Yeah, if you're watching your diet, maybe a low carb or whatever, these squash are really good for spaghetti. And when you crack them open, you'll cut it open with a knife, and you're going to see inside that looks like spaghetti. All you're going to do is get you a spoon and dish that out, put some ground beef, and put some salsa with it, and you've got spaghetti the vegetable way. And take a look, there's a whole bunch of them coming out. We'll keep you informed just as soon as more things develop out here in the garden. Thank you for watching. The beans are absolutely going nuts. They love being out here in the raised garden as well. We've got a bunch of blooms that are coming up on a bunch of them. So you can see everybody's happy. And so we're going to do some canning before you know it. But again, thank you so much for watching.
Okay, before we get back to the next video, I just wanted to mention this about the spaghetti squash. Spaghetti squash has to be cooked. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll go ahead and use your knife and you'll separate and open it up, and you're just going to see all this looks like spaghetti. And then you're going to clean it out really good and throw it into your colander and kind of drain it out just a little bit. Put it in boiling water. And I cook mine a little bit longer than typical recipes tell you, but I'm doing somewhere around 7 to 8 minutes. And then you're going to let it drain again in the colander while you're cooking. The meatballs go into your spaghetti or whatever you want to use. You could use, it's also good with chicken, so it's good that way too. But anyway, you want to go ahead and get that going. Then what you want to do is put it back into the skillet and put your spaghetti sauce in there. In just a few minutes, man, you got some awesome spaghetti. It tastes just like noodles, but it's a little bit better for you. So let's go ahead and get back into the next video.
Okay guys, now we are going to sprout some sweet potatoes, and we'll talk about the medicinal properties of sweet potatoes and how sweet potatoes can help you, but not only you, but your pets as well. It's really good for their digestive system. If you have an aging dog, you really want to feed them sweet potatoes. And this is the way to do it. And I wanted to show you the sprouting process. I like to use water. Find a jar. I like to use these old mayonnaise jars my grandmother used to have. And so what you'll do is fill the jar with some water, which is what I've done right here. But I wanted to show you another one that had already started sprouting. And it's real important now when you do this, and you can see the jar and you can see some of the sprouting has already happened. So what you want to do is put the potato kind of halfway where it receives about half of the amount of water. Okay, so let's show you real quick how we've done it. So far I've got 16 jars. I'm going to wind up with 17 jars. Now, one important thing about sweet potatoes is if the sweet potato feels kind of soft, if it's anything like that, that's mushy. All that's going to do is rot. It's not going to be a good sweet potato to sprout. So I'm going to put that into the compost pile. However, I did rescue some of that sweet potato so you can see how hard that is right here. Now you need to give it some time to heal and kind of scab over before you start putting it in the water. But look what happened after only a day. So this is pretty neat. See, you've got the sprouts already coming through. We are in Abbeville, South Carolina. You can buy sprouts, but I prefer my own because these came out of the garden previously, and I know no pesticides have been used on these potatoes in any way. You can buy from the grocery store and you can sprout. Some people you say you can't do that, but you can. Now I want to show you something else. What you can do, and this saves a little money if you've got some time, if you get a sweet potato, now again, it has to be real hard. See, there are no soft spots on that at all. And so what I'm going to do is cut this one in half. Now it's best again to let it set and let it sprout. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut it. See, that's a good hard sweet potato. So let's go ahead and cut him. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go on ahead and put this in the water, but it is the best to let it scab over because you can see that tenderness of the sweet potato in there. It could possibly cause some rot. But since it's going to be probably a couple weeks before I even put these in the ground, I think we'll be okay. Now this is the test, okay? So you can't have the sweet potato like falling into the water. It needs to be just about halfway. So you can see right here, I've measured the water and it's about halfway. But what we're going to do is put some toothpicks. Now I've got my thumb, so you can see my thumb is setting on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of eyeball it. So I'll go on ahead, and by the way, the sweet potato needs to be as straight as it can in the water. Okay, there goes another one. So you need two sides. Some people do 4, you can do 2 as well. So see, I have just I've turned one sweet potato into 2 sweet potato plants. Okay, again, let's go ahead and put a little dowsing in it. See, this one has already started sprouting. That's good news. We like that. So I'm going ahead and just kind of pre-measure. Now this one, I'm going to start right here. I hope you can see me. I have the camera turned around. And then we're going to go on ahead and put this in. See, the sweet potato I have just cut has already started hardening. So I think that's why we're going to be okay, because we are almost in mid-May while I'm doing this. And so you can see it's not quite halfway. So what I'm going to do is add just a little bit more water to this one. You'll need to kind of keep an eye on the water too, because you know they like to eat, so they like to soak it up and they like to soak up the sunshine. Now one thing you'll need to make sure you do when you have a sweet potato, okay, if it doesn't have any eyes on it and it has already started sprouting, you're okay to start sprouting it right here. That is a great spot. So I'll move a couple jars out of the way. My awesome paring knife that I've had probably 30 years. It's a good one. You got some equipment that works, you need to stick with it. So you can see I didn't fill this one quite halfway because it's a pretty big sweet potato. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure. I want about half of that sweet potato to be in the water. Again, all I'm going to do is get a toothpick. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to cut this one in half. I think that would be a good idea. I'll do that a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and show you. See, the sprouts have already started coming out. So what we're going to do is put it into the water with the sprouts. That's just going to save you some time. So all I'm going to do is get a toothpick, put it in one side, get a toothpick, put it in the other side. And what you're doing is you are resisting rot. That's the #1 cause people can't grow sweet potatoes or any other kind of potato. Now this is what we do with sweet potatoes. Now with the white potatoes, I've got some Yukon Golds that are growing right now. Treat them a little differently. You can go ahead and put them into the ground once you start receiving some sprouts. But what I'm for, and I'll show you another video in just about a week so you can see how fast this thing grows, you want the sprouts going all the way down because you want healthy roots. So that's what we're going to do with sweet potatoes. Okay, and it's going to be a long harvest because the potatoes have to have 6 to 8 hours of full sun. I'm going to put these in the raised bed. And so we have a lot of clay, and we also have a lot of sand here in Abbeville, South Carolina. And what I'm going to do, once they start sprouting, and you get all these wonderful, wonderful sprouts that are going, and runners that are going all the way down into that jar, what we're going to do is put them in a raised bed. And in the raised bed, that works great because, again, the soil content we have here, and I amend it, but it's still just not quite the same. But what you can do in a raised bed, you can actually grow any of your plants. They can actually be planted closer together in a bed because in the bed, the soil has already been amended, and I've got like 2 feet of a bed. And so you're going to see, in just a few weeks, you'll see how this turns out. The great temperature, the best time basically to plant sweet potatoes would be April through June. I'm almost hitting that mark right there. You need to make sure there is all danger of frost is out of the way. And then another thing you do to make sure is the soil temperature should be at least 65 degrees. That's really warmer would be even better. Again, full sun, and mix in compost, by the way, before you start planting, but don't over fertilize it with nitrogen. They don't like that. They're pretty temperamental guys, they really are. The plant slips need to be 12 to 18 inches apart. Because it's a raised bed, I'm going to put mine a little closer. I'm going to do like 8 to 10 inches apart. And again, you can do that in a raised bed because this, again, the soil has been amended and the roots are going to follow down a lot farther than they would if you did it just in ground. So you'll see what I'm talking about. What you want to do, once you start planting the slips, you want to bury the roots and the lower stem. But we're going to get to that in another segment. But right now, I just wanted you to see what they look like in a jar. And I'll be taking some pictures along the way, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And this is the ideal situation right here that's beginning. See, you can see this one's a day old, so he's been sprouting. And this is what you're looking for. That's a good, healthy plant. Okay, that's enough for this segment. We'll be back just a little bit later. Just keep watching me on this journey, and we'll see how the sweet potatoes turn out. I think you're going to like it.
Oh, I absolutely like it. You can hear Phil cutting the grass, by the way, in the background. He gets out there. It doesn't get longer than 2 inches tall, and he loves cutting the grass. Okay, let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break, and I'm really excited to be right back with you in just a few minutes, and we'll talk a little bit more about sweet potatoes and other wonderful gardening tips. Okay, we'll be right back. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. You know, finding the right home isn't just about bedrooms and square footage. It's about comfort, security, and the feeling you get the moment you walk through the door. That's why so many families across Greenwood and the Lakelands area trust Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams. And I'll tell you from personal experience, Jenny was my realtor, and she truly cares about her clients. Jenny takes the time to listen, to understand what matters most, and to guide you every step of the way, whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, or ready to sell. Because this isn't just a transaction, it's your life. With local knowledge, personal care, and a commitment to getting it right, Jenny Ferguson makes the process simple and even enjoyable. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, now's the time to make your move. Call Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams in Greenwood today and take the next step toward a place you'll truly love coming home to. Good afternoon, Sunshine. Medical Minute brought to you by Dr. Chuck with Lakelands Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? a pound of cure. So what is the beamer? Okay, now the beamer uses very gentle pulse to electromagnetic signals. This will stimulate healthy muscles and it supports the temporary blood flow. Now let's talk beamer and circulation support. Now the beamer gently supports natural circulation in healthy muscles. Now that's what I call natural health. Thank you so much for watching Your Medical Minute, brought to you by Dr. Chuck. You know who he's with. He's with Lakeland's Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. I hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the afternoon. You take care.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, we are back. Thank you again so much for watching Donna's Edge radio, television, and podcast talk show. We love being with you every day. Continue sending email. Really makes my day. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. We've been talking about sweet potatoes today, and I've really enjoyed the segment with you as well. So we're talking about the water jar method, and we went through the video, and you got to see lots of things happening there. Again, the toothpicks, you can do 2 or 4, whatever you want to do. Place it, and let me mention this too. You want to place these potatoes in a warm, sunny window. If I didn't mention that in the video, it's going to take 2 to 4 weeks for the sprouts or the slips before they start growing. And then when the slips reach about 6 to 8 inches long, you can twist them off gently. You can put them in the water again, but I just went ahead and just put the whole potato in there. And it seems so that it works for me. Now, whatever works for you could be a different. It also depends on the part of the country that you're in or the part of the world that you're in. Now, there's another way you can do it, and sometimes it's faster. It depends on the time of the year you're doing this, and that is the soil method, and that is sometimes in some parts of the world it's a little bit faster. Again, it depends on your weather. Now, lay the sweet potatoes horizontally in a shallow potting soil or compost. You can just throw them right into compost. Cover halfway with soil, and you want to keep them warm and slightly moist, okay? So we've had this big rainy season going on. It would probably rotted them if I'd done it that way. So I'm glad I decided to do it the slip way in the water first. Slips emerge from that potato, and many gardeners prefer this method because the slips are often sturdier. It really just depends on what you've got rocking and what you've got rolling with that. But I'm just telling you, the way that all of these things are managed is just it's easy to do. And another thing I've asked you to do is to keep a diary. So I have a diary, and this diary is several years old. But what I like to do is look back on it, because after a while, when you've got as many plants as we have, we got like a huge garden. So when you've got as many as we do, sometimes you're just going to simply forget, what I planted and when I planted it and what I had to do with it and what have you. But this way, you can go back and look in your diary, and also, anytime you make a mistake, and you will. I mean, gardening is just a lot of it depends on plain old luck. It depends on the weather conditions, and it just depends on a lot of things. So let's say you did it the wrong way. Maybe you did, because this is what I do. So the first year of sweet potatoes, this is several years ago, I wondered about, because I heard several different ideas on, did you just go ahead and put the sweet potato just flat in, kind of like an upside down thing, or did you lay it down? And so I got to thinking about that, because tomatoes, if you can get them going and you've got a bunch of roots going on there, you can lay them sideways and just have just a tiny little stem standing up. And what that does is it creates this massive root system, And so I thought about that. I thought, well, now if that works with tomatoes, why wouldn't it work with a sweet potato? So I did. I tried that way, and that works for me, and especially in a raised garden environment. So instead of just putting it all the way down, like I've done some, I just went on ahead and laid it down. But now sometimes you can have seeds and you can plant like 20 seeds. You can plant them exactly the same way in the small containers when you're trying to get them rooted. And for some reason or another, it's like kids, I guess, you can have 5 kids and all 5 kids are going to be different, but it's just the way that it works, and, the way the system works. And sometimes just doing things different ways is going to turn out a little bit differently. But the method that seems to work best for me, and it could be because I'm using a raised garden. I don't remember how it turned out when I was planting in the ground. It's been a while since I've done that. But putting little notes in there, and I happened to notice my notes, and I said, you know what? I remember last year I actually had laying them down like this instead of straight up. I actually had better roots, and I had more potatoes on those than I did on the others. But again, it's all a matter of preference. It's all a matter of what works for you. It depends on the time of the year. I have planted sweet potatoes, when I thought, oh, the frost is already done, and I planted them just a bit too early. And what I wound up with is a slow crop. They happened a little bit later on, but I also noticed that the sweet potatoes weren't as big. And so, just again, take notes. You're going to make mistakes. Jot the mistakes down just like you do everything else. But I've started this book and I've written it for Brad and Larissa for when they decide they want to start doing more gardening. They're going to be moving, but when they decided, because right now they're living in a townhouse, there's not a whole lot she can do, just on the back porch. And then they have, homeowners association fees that restrict a lot of gardening. So they have to kind of do it, they have to make sure they're fitting within that profile of the homeowners association. But going ahead and do this for your kids and for your grandkids, because a lot of what we're doing now is something that's a lost art. And it's really important to bring that back, because I'm noticing a lot of young people are really getting into gardening, and they're liking that whole idea of providing for the family and saving money that way, because a lot of folks really now are concerned about what's in the food you buy at grocery stores. Now, if you can't have a garden, go to the local farmer's market. But now always ask the local farmer, did you use insecticide? That's always a good question to ask. But if you do it yourself, definitely for sure. Now, you hear about, seeds that are, they've been handed down from generation to generation. And I've got those. I've got seeds that my granddad had, and they still work. But now I'm getting a little bit on the seed part of it. But if you'll put them in the freezer, and don't put them in plastic bags, put them in paper bags, because those plastic bags, if you ever take it out for any length of time and it sweats just a little bit, your seed's not going to be as good. So I want you to think about it that way as well. Okay, it's time for me to go. Thank you so much for watching. Continue watching 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. We appreciate that. Continue sending email. I love your email, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com. And I love hearing from you, and we'll be seeing you next time around. You have a super awesome day.
Because of your overwhelming support, our $14.88 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing. Including my classic standard MyPillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.